My name is Ni Akrofi Smatabe. I'm a television journalist and producer and news anchor with Multi TV, Joy News in Accra, Ghana. And thank you very much for having me here. So my panel and I will be having a discussion, I'd like to call it like that, a discussion on the topic false debate, old versus new. Essentially, we're talking about the media. There's talk, of course, lots of talk about new media. I know some schools have started teaching new media courses and all, but really, is there something like new media and is there something like an old media? I mean, is media just not media? Ikem, I think I'll be partial and start with you, since we are from the same breed. New media, old media, really, is there a difference?
Yes. Well, there's a difference and there isn't a difference. And I think what has really changed is the time between, for example, a news event happening and people finding out about that event has changed. So once upon a time, if, say, a bomb went off in the middle of Baghdad, for example, you would need a news organization to have sources on the ground, hear about it, send crews there to report it. Well, what happens now is you have people on their smartphones, people on Twitter and on Facebook. For example, there was a guy who more or less live tweeted the assassination of Osama bin Laden. He was in his home, he heard the helicopters, he was tweeting about everything happening. So in that sort of instance, when things are happening, you know what's going on real time. And that is the difference. And of course, what quote-unquote old media need to do now is figure out a way to tap into that, to not be the last people to get the news. Now, of course, they have different sorts of pressures on them. Among those pressures are they have got to be accurate. So they can't get the news wrong because people rely on them for news. So whereas a blogger or someone on Twitter might be forgiven for getting something wrong, for getting a few details wrong, other news organizations can't afford to do that, which is why they're often slower, which is why we have to be careful whatever we broadcast on air. We've got to make sure that there are sources, the sources are verified. So what a lot of media organizations are doing now is they're training their people in, so for example, if someone, and another thing as well is there are malicious things. People do malicious things, so they might tweet that something has happened when it actually hasn't happened. So they will, for example, we get trained into geolocating the tweets, corroborating who else heard that thing, who else witnessed the event, cross-checking with where those reports are coming from. So old media and new media do exist, but they're kind of bridging the gap. And then when you look at, say, new media such as blogs, for example, the Bella Nigers of this world or the Linda Cages of this world, they're all having to formalize. So you can't stay ad hoc and be a one-man band forever. You need to expand and formalize yourself, because the truth is that people come to you for the entertainment initially, but they stay because of trust.
So if they're formalizing, are they then becoming what we term old media, or they're still new media?
In a sense, they're just media. I mean, it's the demarcation and the differences are in our minds. They're all trying to do the same thing, which is get the information out there as quickly as possible.